everyone, John here. I just wanted to talk about a Ford GT Premium convertible. And this is a 2021. I was able to get a hold of this and drive it, and just really pleased with the overall driving experience. Just wanted to do a review. Also a little bit of a comparison how the 5-liter compares to like maybe a Coyote, or Coyote motor compares to like a Gt350, or even maybe a Cobra. Somebody was asking about how it compared to a Super Performance Cobra with a Roush 427. But first of all, let's talk about just a general review of the driving experience. With the windows up is how I'm rolling right now. You can hear from the shifts, it's a 6-speed manual transmission. Really like how it shifts. This is a GT Premium convertible with Magna Ride and the Performance Pack. So optioned up nicely with things that'll just help it perform well, and also has the active exhaust. It's in loud mode right now, as I'm sure you can hear it. That's one of the best parts about being in a convertible, is being able to hear that, in my opinion, that exhaust while the windows are, where the top is down. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, is with the windows up in this, I get very little wind noise in here, or even wind at all. Now in the back, I think you'd be catching some, but at least in the front seats, it's a very comfortable, very composed ride, as far as not getting a lot of wind turbulence. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. There's auto Rev Match. The 2021 5 liters come with that, and 2022 would too. So a very nice feature. That Coyote rev, even short shifting at 3,500 RPM, or even 4,000. So lots of fun with the manual transmission. I was also surprised with this car that with the top up, I'll do a little clip here in a little bit, there's very little wind turbulence. Very little wind turbulence. I mean, very little noise would be a better way of putting that. When the top is put up, it's a very quiet ride. Not much more noise than a hardtop, which very much so surprised me. So here's the Rev Match. The minute this enters the gate, it does a little blip. So I think that's a cool feature. The Gt350 doesn't have that, or the Cobra, but on those cars, it's actually a lot of fun just to be able to drive those yourself anyway, and do those to actually rev match it. So sounds really good. The 5-liter Coyote, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, is just such a good motor. It accepts boost, whether it be from a turbo or a supercharger. It's not as high of a strung motor like a GT350, or from the factory it's so high strung. The 2021 5-liter Coyote motor, Gen 3 is what they come with, is I think 460 horsepower. I believe in 2022, because of emissions, they reduced them to 450. So what I think is cool about the 2021, it has the same horsepower as the 2022 Mach 1, because they had to cut the horsepower in the Mach 1, and it typically has 10 horsepower more than your traditional Coyote in a non-Mach 1. Now 2021 Mach 1, I believe, has 470 horsepower. Again, we're talking torque 10 horsepower. Would you feel it or not? Hard to say. I like this transmission. It's different than the Tremec in the Gt350, but it feels good. It feels easy to shift, not quite as mechanical as the Tremec. but I like it as a round knob instead of the cylindrical one on a GT350. But what stands out to me with the Coyote is just how smooth this motor is. It's just very smooth revving. Likes to really build power. You know, kind of like most smaller displacement V8s, is it revs. So kind of that, you know, 3,000 RPM on up, it'll really start to pull. And this motor looks like it red lines around 7,300 RPM or so. So it give or take a little bit. So it likes to rev. And I think a manual transmission is a great choice for this car, although the 10-speed is a little quicker. Someone was asking how a GT350 compares with a Cobra, and I guess there's a little bit of an indirect comparison there with a 5-liter, since some of the smaller displacement V8s compare, you know, there's similarities like with the 5.0 and the 5.2. Both those motors like to build power as you're driving them, as they rev, whereas the 427 has a lot of power just right off idle. There's that Rev Match. Settles into a corner. Coming out of the corner with this handle's really nice. So what we're going to do right there for a moment. Drive within the speed limit. So the Cobra, the minute you stab the throttle, and with that Roush 427, the minute you stab that throttle, it starts to pull, because it's a big torquey V8 that just makes a lot of torque, a lot of power. I think roughly 100 foot-pounds, probably not quite, but close to 100 foot-pounds more than, you know, a 5.2 or a 5-liter Coyote. And the Cobra is a little bit lighter too. So when you stab that throttle, it pulls. Unlike these motors, they need to rev. You need to pick the right gear. Gear selection isn't as important in the Cobra. And high speeds, I find the S550 platform feels very stable, whereas the Cobra, with its shorter wheelbase, it never did anything to make me nervous. So it's just the way it felt to me. It's not a real problem. In fact, it's not a problem. But I just found that car, when at higher speeds, it just felt very, the inputs of the steering wheel, a small input makes the car really turn, which is good. It's a good responsive car, talking about the Cobra. But with the GT350 and this Mustang, the 5-liter, on the S550 platform, I find that it just feels very stable at any speed, and it's just very comfortable to drive these platforms, whether you're going faster or slower. And the Cobra, I didn't notice it at, you know, below 80, but if you get going above 80, that car becomes very responsive. And just like anything, if you get to know the vehicle, then you're fine. You just can't get in a Cobra and drive it like a superhero day one. You need to learn that car, which isn't a bad thing. It's nice to have a car that takes some skill to drive, and you have to learn how to drive it. So here we are, 55 miles per hour. Very composed. My shirt isn't blowing around. I am out of the turbulence of the wind. I just can't think of anything more fun to drive on this nice day. So here we are, roll through a few gear shifts here. Okay, that wasn't quite 7,000 RPM, and that motor just loves to pull and pull and pull. Very, very impressive I love the Coyote and the 5.2 motor. They just sound so good. The GT350 is just a little raspier, a little more angry than the 5.0, which for that car is perfect. But this car, I feel like I could drive this all day. The seats are comfortable, got heated and cooled seats. Rolling through the gears some more here. Coming out of a corner. So nice to just roll through those gears. And the 10-speed is a nice 10-speed, so I'm not saying anything bad about an automatic. That would be great to just cruise around, not have to shit, especially if you're in town a lot. But I live outside the city limits, or in the city, but can easily drive outside the city limits, so it's nice to, for me it's nice, a manual transmission is a good choice. Just to have something to go out and drive that's still satisfying to drive, but it isn't hard to drive either. And I like the clutch feel. The brakes are excellent on this. Now again, this has a performance pack, so I think that helps with the Brembo calipers. And it has, I think, upgraded sway bars and springs. And I'm shifting more than I need to, just because it's more interesting to listen to and I enjoy it. Top down, the V8 sounds so good. I love it. Sounds really, really good. I'll take us through a few more corners here. There's that Rev Match. And it does give the gear readout on the display, which is nice. And that's just a short shift at 5,000 RPM. Sounds great, pulls hard. And the 5-liter, in my opinion, has plenty of power. Again, it's so smooth. Its pull is so linear. I really enjoy driving this motor, in case you can't tell. Driving this Mustang with the 5-liter. Gearbox is good. I wish I knew more about reliability. I know with some of the 18s, there was a certain year, 2018 and prior, that, and you guys feel free to chime in, where people talked about the manual transmission having some issues, and I'm not even sure of what they were. Feel free to comment. I haven't heard of any problems with the 20, 21, 20, 22 manual transmission, so hopefully there aren't any. If anybody knows anything about these trannies, let me know. I'm not aware of any problems at this time, but it sure feels good to shift it. I mean, I'm shifting it just because I'm liking it. And very engaging just to drive it. EcoBoost would be a great motor, lightens the front end, makes the vehicle very responsive. I mean, and it makes the power of, of a V8 and all intents and purposes. So the EcoBoost, I think, performance-wise, is great, but for a convertible, it's hard not to go option the car out with the V8, just because it's so nice to hear it. Okay, we're gonna do one more pull here. I'm not gonna redline it, but we'll just let it scoot. It sounds so good. Can't help but enjoy license and freedom, so we're not gonna do any high-speed driving with this car. But it sure is fun to accelerate fast, roll through those gears on a nice day. So we'll just brake again. Sounds good. Now if I put this in quiet mode, you can do that on the fly. So exhaust mode, let's go quiet. Now listen, very quiet. If I had the top up, you wouldn't even hear it. So very nice. I like that you don't need a different exhaust. And sometimes even when I've put exhaust on some of the old Mustangs that I've had, it gets annoying, and sometimes you don't want the noise. And so I love this, how let's bring it back. So we bring it back, and I didn't have to change the whole exhaust system. Now we've got it back, and I don't find the tone of this annoying or too loud. I think it's perfect. This car, in my opinion, if you have the active exhaust, you don't need another exhaust. You can make the car quiet, you can make it loud. It's really perfect. Yeah, thanks for driving along with me. We've got some other things that we'll talk about. Let's go ahead and put the top up. So we're gonna roll down the windows. You always do that before you put the top up. Now we push the button, and there it goes. There it goes. Now it's just a matter of me pulling on that, and let's put the windows up so that, put up that little back window, the front windows up, and now we're ready to roll down the road. So with the windows up, top up, exhaust is still in the sports setting. You can hear how quiet this is. No wind turbulence. You hear a little wind here. I'm just turning on the air conditioning. It's a warm day, and with the top down, it's perfect. But with the top up, you need your AC on. So that's just something to think about. So here we are. It's 60. That was 4th, now 5th. And if we slipped into 6th, pure quiet. No rattles, no whistles. Very, very impressive. I could drive this car all day long. And I love that you can put the top up. I just think that's fabulous. You put the top up, you can cool the cabin or warm it, and the visibility out the back is good. The window has a defrost in it. I can see the wires, or the filaments, I should say, not wires. And just a few more rev matches. Here we are rolling through the gears again, and the Coyote. Just so nice. This gives you somewhat of a motorcycle experience in a car. You're still driving it as opposed to riding a motorcycle, but oh, I like it. It's a good compromise. You get a little safety. And you can carry people. I can carry, 3 other people in this. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And if anybody gets cold or doesn't like the wind, you put the top up. Sometimes if it gets cold, I'll put the top up. And then when you get to your destination, you're not moving as quickly, and it's warmer, you put the top back down. The seats in this car I find very comfortable. They're not like the cars in the GT350. There's a little more padding. They're a little wider. You can have heated and cooled seats in these. One of my favorite things to do is turn the heated seats on and the heated steering wheel as you're driving, and so you're nice and warm if you start getting a little cool. But I like these seats. One thing that's nice about these, if you need to pass, you got the power to do so. You don't have to worry about not having the power to get around someone. I never have like underpowered vehicles. My daily driver actually is a RAV4, Toyota RAV4, and I love that thing. And it's a little, it's a 2.5 liter motor, 4-cylinder, and it's great. It's got enough power, not too much, but just a good little run-around car. But for a weekend drive, I think it's hard to beat a convertible Mustang. And I think the Coyote motor is a great motor. I mean, it's been through 3 generations now. In 2021 and 2022, that's the 3rd generation Coyote motor. 32 valve motor, dual red cam, just an excellent motor. High revving motor, reliable for all intents and purposes. It's not a motor that's known for any big problems. So I just like that the 5.0 is a motor that you can drive it every day, run it a lot, and I don't, assuming you change your oil and do regular maintenance, I don't feel like there's anything you need to worry about with the 5.0. Just a tried and true motor. So I guess that's just a little bragging on the Coyote motor. And really, for that reliability to make 450, 460, 470 horsepower in the Mach 1, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, other motors can make more horsepower, but maybe they're not much fun to drive around town. Maybe they're a little quirkier, not as reliable. So I just think the 5.0 is a nice motor, and I get, it seems like I've been getting decent fuel economy with this when I slip into the 5th and 6th gear on the highway, and I'm always surprised when I fill up. It doesn't seem that bad compared to like an old school V8, 6-liter V8 or something with a 4-barrel. Just another note on the 5.0 is when I went to the Gt350 Track Attack, they, the instructors are driving 5.0 hardtops with a performance pack, and man, they could outdrive you in a Gt350. So I guess what that showed me is, for all intents and purposes, if you've got a 5.0 with a performance pack and upgraded springs and brakes and sway bar, man, those things are amazing. So the Gt350, I mean, yeah, sure, you put an instructor in a Gt350, he could probably outdrive a 5.0, but I mean, they're both such capable cars that I guess what I'm saying is Gt350 is a great vehicle, but if your price point is you need a 5.0, well, that's not a wrong choice at all. So just wanted to, I guess, put that out there and say that. This corner is so good. Just a little quick clip of this car on a twisty road. The GT50 on a twisty road with a performance pack. Just handles so good. You can downshift and just put it into a corner and it just settles right in. Very, very comfortable. Accelerate out of the corner. Brake, off the brakes, into the corner, just settles right in. No excessive body lean. Very composed, very controlled. Back on the gas, the brakes. So just such a nice ride. Yeah, Ford did a great job with the S550 platform. So just a little sampling of how this car feels on a twisty road. Here's just a clip of the outside. I think it has nice lines. Here's from the front. Looking mean. Does have the performance pack. See, it's got performance wheels, Brembo brakes, got the 5.0 badging. I like the lines of the convertible. It has the black wheels, black interior. A good stance from behind. GT with the active exhaust. I like it. Very good looking car. Here on this side, you're going to see the large rotors and the Brembo brake. And again, the 5.0 badging. I just think this car looks the part. There's the interior. Leather looks really good. Plenty of room in the back seat, especially with the top down. Here's the interior. And perhaps last but not least, the power plant, a 5.0. You can't go wrong with that. Pretty clean setup. GT cross bracing. Shows that, Mustang GT. In my opinion, you have to order, we don't have to, but I think in a convertible to hear that V8 purr is just musical. And just a quick clip of what it looks like with the top up. Doesn't look quite as good as a traditional fastback, but you know, it still looks nice. And you gain the function of being able to lose the top with the push of a button. But I still think it looks good. Wouldn't say it looks bad. Kind of a cloth top that these come with. So yeah, not a bad look. But I probably do prefer just a traditional fastback. But for function, it's great. And it looks good, especially with colors that accent the black, like orange or black. So I just wanted to show the different driving modes that you have here available. You can put it into like normal mode, sport mode, changes the gauge cluster, puts the tack on the top. You can see where you shift, it shows the different gauge, the gear selection there. Then you can go to like a track mode, and it changes the tack's even bigger yet. And then drag strip mode. You can go to weather mode, kind of for snow, and then back to normal. And you can change those three gauges in the middle. I put the, this is the vacuum gauge up, and the engine temperature and the voltometer, but you can put all kinds of things up there. So pretty cool. I just think it's great. So kind of that active gauge cluster system. And then you could, you know, like I said, select the exhaust, go into, you know, whatever you wanted to do with the exhaust, whether it was quiet, normal, sport, or track. So you don't have to put a separate exhaust on this. It sounds good just from the factory. If you have the active exhaust, you can make it quiet or louder. So that just want to give you a little quick rundown on those gauges. Guess I wanted to show a full clip from start to finish of putting the top down. So I have my windows up. Last time I showed the 5-second count, I had the windows down already, so that would subtract from the time because you have to put the windows down first. So first step is to unlatch this. Second step is to push the, gotta roll the windows down, and the back little pony window down, which is a switch right here, and it rolls down both windows at the same time. Okay, then it's just a matter of pushing the button and the 5-second count to where that's done. Okay, that's all there is to it. So now we're back to wide open convertible, and I think that's the way I'll finish this, because that's the way you should be driving a convertible. All right, thanks again for watching. Have an awesome day.